So today we're going to be ranking Germany's old flags because Germany's flags have some of the craziest stories with them, so we're doing them. Why did I decide to make Germany today? Well, one of you guys told me to. And I know how crazy their flag stories are, so today we're ranking them on both the design and the story of the flag, and then we're putting them in one of those rankings. So yeah, let's get started with the first flag. So Germany in the past didn't really have one flag, they just had banners, and they actually had a lot of animal symbols on their banners. So after doing some research, apparently this was the flag that they were using. And apparently children back then used to look at the flag and feel safe by looking at it. Like that's kind of cute. And honestly, I kind of like the design. Like, it's a cool flag, nice design, but there isn't much of a story with it, so let's actually put it in A. Like, an A tier kind of works with that flag. Yeah, that's where it goes, and let's go to the next flag. Okay, this weird looking bird here was actually a flag, and it was the flag of the Roman Empire. So the German kings were like, wow, the Roman Empire is pretty cool. Let's get the flag to represent our empire. And yeah, they got this flag, and honestly, it's a weird bird, but it is the Roman Empire, so we're putting it in a C tier because, well, the bird looks stupid. Okay, so this was the next flag, still technically the Roman Empire, but they clearly hired a better graphic designer this time. Honestly, not a bad upgrade, like kind of clean actually. Okay, I don't want to stare at it too much because it's a little weird. Like, why is there a tongue coming out of the bird? But honestly, it doesn't matter. Let's lock it up in B tier. I think that's fair for it. Like, they did upgrade the bird, gotta give them some credit. And let's see what the next flag looks like. So for the next flag, the Roman Empire is still hanging around, but I guess one weird bird wasn't enough, so they made them two. And bro, they look even weirder. Like, straight up creepy now. Cause why add two of them? Like, the more I stare at it, the weirder it looks. But it's the same Roman Empire in Germany, and you know what? Let's toss it in C rank, cause I'm still not the biggest fan of this bird, and now they went ahead and made them two birds? Yeah. C rank it is, and let's go to the next flag. So for the next flag, we have the flag of the Kingdom of Prussia. So when the Roman Empire got weaker, Germany decided to get its own flag. Also, if you're confused, there were two Roman empires, like the OG Roman Empire, which fell back in 476, and the Eastern one, which is also called the Byzantine Empire, but that also fell. Anyways, a guy named Frederick I was like, I'm gonna be the king of Prussia, and Prussia now consisted of smaller German-speaking areas. But then years later, another guy named Frederick the Great came after him, and he made Prussia one of the strongest countries in Europe. And honestly, I like this flag a lot. Like, they made the bird look better, and I love how he's holding a sword and no idea what he's holding with the other leg. Like, no idea what this thing is. But I do love the design, and it's got some important history too, and because of that, we're putting this flag in S tier. Yeah, this flag deserves it. And let's see what the next flag looks like. Okay, so the double birds came back. Disgusting. Yeah, if you can't tell, I really don't like those birds. But yeah, back then, Germany was not one country. Like, it was made of German-speaking states, and Germans back then wanted one country that belonged to the people, not the monarchs. The people back then wanted to unite under one flag, and they picked the flag with those three colors: red, black, and gold. Why did they pick those colors? Well, you see, before that time, Napoleon Bonaparte conquered a lot of parts of Germany, so Germans didn't like him. And a group of German soldiers fought against Napoleon's army, and those soldiers were the Lutzow Volunteer Army. And their uniforms were made of black coats, red trims, and golden buttons. So that's where they got the idea for the flag's colors. Actually, I love this. That's actually pretty cool. But yeah, Germany was still not one country because there were different German states, and there were Prussia and Austria who were fighting for who will control those German states. But yeah, back to the flag. They did decide to add the two birds to the flag. Like, yeah, the red, black, and golden, but also they decided to add the two birds. And I'm biased, I told you, and I do not like those birds. So we will add this flag in the B tier, just because I don't like those birds. And anyways, let's go to the next flag. So this was Germany's next flag, and if you watched any of my videos, you know that this is also Germany's current flag, but we're not here yet. That was like a few hundred years ago. The people back then still wanted the country to be a democratic country, and 39 German states were under monarchs. And Prussia, remember Prussia, was one of those states. But remember, Prussia and Austria were fighting to control all of those states and to see which of them will control it. Anyways, during that time, people were fed up with monarchs and they wanted a fair government. So they had a revolution and they were waving that flag for their revolution. But unfortunately, the revolution failed because both Prussia and Austria destroyed the revolution, which sucks, but the people still had hope that Germany would have a fair government one day. Anyways, this flag doesn't have a bird now and honestly got a cool story with it, so we're putting it in S tier. Yeah, it deserves it. It's gonna go to S tier. And we're gonna be going to the next flag. So remember how Austria and Prussia were fighting? Well, they had a war called Austro-Prussian War, and Prussia actually won. And then the King's Chancellor, Otto von Bismarck, who was technically running the show back then, provoked France to fight with Prussia. And because the Germans didn't really like the French, all German states stood together to fight against France, and they actually won the war. And then in 1871, all the German-speaking states became one country, and they called it the German Empire. And they used this flag. Honestly, not a bad flag. I kind of like it too. I do prefer the gold a little bit, but it's still pretty good. So for the rating, I guess we're gonna be putting it in A tier. It's a really nice flag. So now we're back to this flag, and we already rated it, so we aren't changing the rating. But why did this flag come back again? Because now it's after World War I, and you know Germany lost the war, and the last German emperor, Kaiser Wilhelm II, fled to the Netherlands. So now the German Empire was gone, so they used this flag again. But also during that time, Germany was still unstable because of the war, but politicians still met in a small city called Weimar, not Berlin, because Berlin was a mess after the war. And in Weimar, they wrote a new constitution, and now the German Empire became the Weimar Republic. And they gave the people freedom of speech, the right to vote, and a democratic parliament. And it seemed that Germany finally started to recover from the war. And there was even a period called the Golden 20s where trade improved and cities became alive again. So it seemed that everything is finally going back to normal. But then the Great Depression happened and banks collapsed, factories closed, and millions of Germans lost their jobs. And that's when an extreme political group started to rise. You obviously know what group I'm talking about. The Nazi Party, led by Hitler. And the whole world was about to change forever. And also the flag changed, so let's go to the next flag. So you know this flag, right? Yeah, well, Germany was really struggling back then and millions didn't have jobs. But then the little mustache guy who failed to get into our school, Hitler, came into the story, and he was the leader of the Nazi Party. And he was like, I'm gonna make Germany great again. Yep, he actually said that. He also said that he could rebuild Germany's pride, create jobs, destroy communism, and undo the Treaty of Versailles. So the president back then, Paul von Hindenburg, decided to make Hitler the Chancellor of Germany. So he was basically the leader. But then after that, Germany changed because the red, gold, and black flag that represented democracy was taken down. And instead, this flag with the swastika was the one that was used. And Nazis controlled everything. Like, schools taught only Nazi ideas, books that disagreed with them were burned, newspapers only printed what Hitler allowed, and secret police called the Gestapo arrested anyone who spoke against the government. But then in 1939, Hitler invaded Poland, and that basically started the Second World War. And we know what happened. Like, Germany lost the war, and Hitler was finally gone after that. And as for this flag, well, we're making a new ranking for it, which is now trash. And there it will go, and we will go to the next flag. So after the war, Germany was a mess. Like, it was split into four at first, like the American zone in the south around Munich, the British zone in the northwest, the French zone in the southwest, and the Soviet zone in the east. And at first, this was supposed to be temporary, just until Germany could rebuild itself. But soon after, big disagreements began happening between the Soviet Union and the US, Britain, and France. And the problems between the Soviet Union and other countries got so heated that Germany was basically split into two, like West Germany that used the black, red, and gold flag, and East Germany, which also used the black, red, and gold flag, but they also added a hammer and a compass to show communism and workers' power. And both sides claim to be the real Germany, but thing is, they were like two different countries at this point. So life in East Germany, for example, was hard because first of all, the government controlled everything. A secret police called the Stasi spied on citizens, even on neighbors and families. Also, people couldn't speak freely or travel or even choose their jobs. And if you tried to protest or escape, you could be arrested or a lot worse could have happened to you. But in West Germany, life was very different. Like, people were in a democratic country, business was booming, and by the 1970s, West Germany had become one of the richest countries in Europe. Like, it was a place full of cars, music, color. Like, it was like two different countries, and it was so separated and different that they added a wall between the two, like the Berlin Wall. But anyways, for the flags, well, again, I already put the original flag in the S tier, but well, for the other one, honestly, I kind of like the design. Like, I think it's pretty cool. Like, even the hammer and the compass kind of looks cool, but the story, yeah, not too much. So only because the design looks cool, we're gonna be putting this flag in the A tier. Again, only because it looks cool. And anyways, let's go to the final flag. So as I told you, life in East Germany wasn't really the best, and there were a lot of protests, like a lot. But on November 9th, 1989, something amazing happened because a government official named Gunter Schabowski accidentally announced on live TV that East Germans could now travel freely to the West. And because of that, people rushed to the walls, and because guards didn't know what to do, they just opened the gates for them. And people climbed on top of the wall, cheering, hugging, crying, and they began to destroy that wall with hammers, breaking it down piece by piece. So after 28 years, the Berlin Wall had finally fallen. And then people in Eastern Europe voted to join again to West Germany. And they finally became one country on October 3rd, 1990. And again, they used this flag, the black, red, and gold flag. And here we have it. Those are the final ratings of Germany's flags, in my opinion. Like, what do you guys think? Like, do you agree? Do you not? And if you guys like this one and you want to see more, you can watch the Ireland flag video right here. And also don't forget to subscribe and tell me which country you want to see next, because honestly, I love making these because it's really, really interesting how each flag comes with its own unique story.